Tim Cook steps down as Apple CEO. America and Iran come to a ceasefire. And New York sues Coinbase. These are three headlines we will discuss today on Winning Wednesday for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. My name is Errol C. Mango, and I am an unqualified laborer. Shout out to HR. Shout out to HR. Today, we are live on YouTube, X, and StreamYard. We welcome everyone across all three platforms. Welcome to everyone across all three platforms. Lots going on in the financial world I wanted to discuss. I've got several things on my notes I wanted to review today. But as you come in, let us know where you're from. Every Wednesday we go live at noon Eastern to discuss current events in the financial markets. So first things first, let's go right to current market. Let's take a look at current market. Before we even start, let's take a look at where we are. Okay, this is where we currently are. A lot of green today in the financial markets. One ticker I'm going to review shortly is Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin currently at 79,343. BTC USD 79,350. All right, so maybe we take a look at Bitcoin's chart. What else do I see? S&P at SPY 709.47. I believe that's another all-time high for the S&P. NASDAQ 652.36. Apple 272. All right, Apple's at 272, up about 2.5%. AMD is another interesting one. Okay, currently all-time high of 296, up 4% today. 296 on AMD. Not only a matter of time before AMD cracks 300. I remember last year it was in the 130s, 140s. Amazon 252. Okay, another one that's going higher and higher. Broadcom currently at 415.30. We talked about Bitcoin. Google 337. What else? Microsoft rebounded a lot. 431.63. Microsoft 674. Excuse me. NVIDIA 201. All right, so that's where we stand as of 12:02 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I can scroll down just a little bit. Let's check Tesla. Tesla 390, TSM 378, ExxonMobil 148. All right, so that's where we stand. That's where we stand. Everything green. Everything green. I like green. I also like red. I like both market conditions. I like when the market's up. I like when the market's down. Okay, I like both. I like both. All right. So everything's looking good so far today in the market. I wanted to get right into it. I want to get right into it. We have no time to waste. We have no time to waste. Me personally, I wasted at least 7 years of my life. I will not waste another second of my life. All right, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. First things first. I want to share. Where should we start here? Okay, you probably saw this in the news last couple of days. I want to share one of the leading headlines with one of the biggest companies in the world. Let me see if I can pull this up correctly. All right, Tim Cook stepping down. Okay, this article is from earlier today, okay, 5 a.m. Eastern. Apple CEO Tim Cook is stepping down just as its stock breakout is in trouble. Let's check out what this article says. Apple is at a crossroads, technically and fundamentally. The stock has three big happenings at once: a CEO change, earnings next week, and a breakout that's already under pressure. Since the broader market's a March 30 low, Apple stock is up 9%. Now the worst performer in the Mag 7. Monday's breakout above the yellow downward sloping trend line from Apple's December all-time high briefly pushed the stock green on the year. Now that gain has all but evaporated. Apple announced Monday that Tim Cook will step down on September 1st, with hardware chief John Ternus taking over. Earnings land next week. Cook's final report as sitting CEO. Giving Tuesday selling. The stock had its worst day since February, down 2.5%. The Cook news may be weighing on sentiment after all. The immediate level in play is its 5-day moving average not shown around 268. A close below that level likely confirm Monday's move as a fall breakout. One structural positive remains, unlike Meta and Tesla, unlike some names that are running into the flat 200-day moving averages. Apple's 200-day is clearly rising, a better safety net if the breakout fails. Okay, levels to watch on the 1-year stock chart: 278 to 280, 286 to 289 all-time zone. Let's see. All right, but I wanted to really discuss Tim Cook stepping down here. I really wanted to discuss Tim Cook stepping down. Let's go to Yahoo Finance and see if we can find an article discussing just that. All right, let's see what we can find here. All right, I'll probably have to look up articles from yesterday or Monday. All right, let me actually let me stop sharing that one. Let me pull up Google. Let's see if we can find something on Google discussing Tim Cook. Here we go. All right, let's share that one. All right, here we go. All right, let me search Tim Cook right here. Tim Cook. I want to click on the news tab. Tim Cook to become Apple Chief Executive Chairman. All right, this is from yesterday. Okay, Atlantic says it doesn't matter who runs Apple. I disagree. AI and Apple's future as Tim Cook prepares to step away. NBC. Fortune, the main stepping into Tim Cook and Steve Jobs' shoes is a 25-year Apple veteran with 0 LinkedIn posts. Okay, Tim Cook is very, very good at making money. Let's check this article right here. All right, let's see if this article will load. Will it load? All right, while that does its thing. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me go back. Let me go back. Okay, here we go. AI and Apple, an uncertain future as CEO Tim Cook prepares to step away. What is the future for a $4 trillion hardware company in the AI era? Experts break down where things are headed. Can I read this? They're getting my experience ready. They are getting my experience ready. Do you have my experience ready? Okay, you don't have my experience ready. You're fired. Let's see what else we have here. Here's one from CNN. No pressure. Apple's new CEO needs to be Steve Jobs and Tim Cook at the same time. Hey, no pressure. No pressure. Let's see if we can get this article here. Can we get this article to cooperate? John Turnus may have just landed the best and worst CEO job on the planet. Let me pause right there. Being chief executive, being the top executive of any company, it's not easy. All right. There's a lot of responsibility involved. There's a lot of long hours involved. Like I said, there's a lot of responsibility involved. All right. So some people may just see the big salary. Some people may just see the big recognition. Not everyone sees the big responsibility. All right. There is a lot of responsibility, especially if you're heading one of the biggest companies in the world. All right, let's see what this article says here. All right, okay. When Turnus takes over as Apple CEO in September, investors will be eager for a return to the kind of bold, creative action that made Apple a designer pioneer under Steve Jobs. They'll also expect Tim Cook level mastery of Apple's sprawling operations. He must embody Apple's think different mantra and put his own stamp on the Turnus era. All you have to do now is steer a $4 trillion company and its 166,000 employees through the wilderness of AI, boom or bust, come up with blockbuster product on par with the iPhone, and avoid pissing off the governments, China, India, and the United States. all of which have competing interests. Okay, no pressure. Any CEO gig is a tall order, but the weight of expectation only grows when it's one of the biggest companies in the world and you're the third guy to follow back-to-back showstoppers. Cook announced Monday that he would step down at the end of summer, capping 15 years of what may well go down in business history books as one of the most successful CEO tenures ever. Okay, this article goes on to describe him as an operations guy, not a creative visionary, but the numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, all right? Numbers don't lie. Apple's profit has more than quadrupled under Cook. First, it became the first ever $1 trillion company in 2018 and is now a $4 trillion company. It's also easy to forget that Apple nearly went bankrupt in the late 90s. Okay, this article says it's exactly what Apple needs. Cut to 2026, the iPhone launched by Jobs and made ubiquitous by Cook is a tentpole driving the bulk of Apple's $416 billion in revenue last year. $416 billion in revenue. Let's see what else. Apple needs another hit. The Vision Pro ain't it. Okay, if you're Apple, what's your next move? What's your next move later this year? In Tap Turnus, a hardware executive who doesn't come from the iPhone world, Apple seems to realize it can't put all its eggs in the iPhone basket. The company didn't respond. Okay, one of Turnus's most significant achievements in recent years was leading the complex transition of Mac computers from using Intel chips to Apple's proprietary processors. Within Apple, no one has more experience managing a shift at this scale than Turnus. All right, we'll see what he does when it comes to AI and some other ventures. Apple has more cash, consumers, and brand recognition than any company in the world. But it's now time to flex the muscles and go on the offensive instead of defensive. Bottom line, Jobs was a creative guru. Cook was the strategic planner. And what will Turnus turn out to be? Okay, we will see. Okay, we'll see what Apple has in store for their new CEO. We'll see what their new CEO has in store for Apple. All right, so for all you Apple shareholders, for all you iPhone holders, Apple will be turning over leadership come September. Apple will be turning over leadership later this year. All right, who we got? Natasha, peace to Natasha. We got Andrea, Detroit, Michigan in the building. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everybody. All right, so Apple. First thing in my notes here, I wanted to discuss Apple's turnover later this year. We'll see what happens when the transition actually happens. All right, let's see what else we got. What else do I got for you? All right, let's go to earnings. I want to talk about earnings right quick. Let's see what companies report earnings this week. Let's go straight to earnings. All right, so let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. Okay. Here are this week's earnings. Let's see. Monday, Alaska Airlines. Actually, there's a couple headlines I want to discuss when it comes to airlines today. What else do we have Monday? AGNC, one of the REITs. Yesterday, 3M, GE Aerospace. Yesterday afternoon, United, Capital One. Earlier this morning, Boeing, AT&T. This afternoon, Tesla. Okay, all eyes will be on Tesla later today. Another airline, Southwest, Texas Instruments. Tomorrow, Nokia, Intel, American Express. Friday, P&G, Procter & Gamble, and HCA Healthcare. So that's this week's. Okay, I forgot. I missed tomorrow morning, American Airlines. A lot of airlines reporting earnings this week. That's what we have in terms of earnings. Okay, let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got for you. All right, I saw this article yesterday on Yahoo Finance regarding Coinbase and New York. So let's see what's going on with New York suing. I believe they were going to sue Coinbase. Let's see what this article says here. New York sues Coinbase and Gemini Titan calls their, let's see what they're doing here, calls their prediction markets illegal gambling from routers. All right, let's see what's going on with this article here. New York's Attorney General sued Coinbase Financial Markets and Gemini Titan on Tuesday, claiming that prediction markets violate state laws against illegal gambling. In complaints filed in state court in Manhattan, Attorney General Letitia James said Coinbase and Gemini failed to obtain New York State Gaming Commission licenses to operate their markets, where people trade based on predicted outcomes of events such as sports and elections. I've seen other prediction markets within that. I've seen weather predictions. I've seen polling predictions. I've seen boxing predictions. I've seen a bunch of other predictions. James said Coinbase and Gemini's so-called event contracts are quintessentially gambling because event outcomes are outside of bettors' control or amount of games of chance. She also objected to Coinbase and Gemini letting 18 to 20-year-olds use their platforms despite state law setting a minimum age of 21 for mobile sports betting. Gambling by another name is still gambling, and it is not exempt from regulation under our state laws and Constitution. Coinbase and Gemini did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Gemini's Titan parent, Gemini Space Station, is led by billionaire twins Tyler Winklevoss and Cameron Winklevoss, who are respectively chief executive and president. James is seeking to recoup illegal profits, fines equal to triple those profits, and restitution to customers. We'll see if that actually happens. I'll be interested to see if any of this actually happens. She also wants to ban Coinbase and Gemini from letting people under 21 wager or marketing their platforms on college campuses. Both defendants launched their prediction markets in mid-December and operate them in all 50 states, court papers show. Tuesday's lawsuits come as federal and state regulators battle over who has authority over prediction markets. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this. We'll keep an eye on the New York State Attorney, Coinbase, and Gemini. Okay, we'll keep an eye on what happens here. My suspicion is nothing much will come of this, but we'll see what actually shakes out. We'll see what actually shakes out later on. All right, let's see here. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to. I wanted to go back to those airlines for a minute. I saw an interesting headline on Yahoo Finance regarding Spirit Airlines. Let's see what's going on with Spirit Airlines. I think the Trump administration is about to bail them out. Let's take a look, though. Let's see what's going on with Spirit Airlines and the Trump administration. Trump administration reportedly close to a deal to rescue Spirit. Let's read this article right here. Spirit Aviation Holdings stock surged more than 500%. Wow. What's stock of? The Trump administration may be nearing a deal to save the struggling low-budget carrier, according to a Wall Street Journal report. Under the terms of being discussed, the U.S. government would loan Spirit up to $500 million in return for warrants to take a potential stake. Okay, wow. Spirit is $1.52. Wow, and they're up $1.25. It looks like Spirit has struggled in recent years amid higher costs and thin margins for low cost tickets. The airline temporarily went into bankruptcy twice since 2025, following failed merger attempts with JetBlue. In an interview on Tuesday, Trump hinted he was willing to help the carrier. Spirit's in trouble, and I'd love somebody to buy Spirit. May the federal government, maybe the federal government should help that one out. Despite the major move on Wednesday, Spirit is still trading at around $1.40 per share. $1.40 per share. Okay, I thought Spirit was going to liquidate last week, so I was keeping my eye on this, on what's going on with Spirit. So it looks like the Trump administration may lend them $500 million. Their stock price is currently 140, up a lot. What was it? 500%. 500%. 466%. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on Spirit Airlines. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go to LinkedIn. I want to go to LinkedIn to share some headlines from LinkedIn. Let's see what's going on with LinkedIn. All right. Here's some headlines from LinkedIn. Ceasefire hangs in balance as ships attacked in Hormuz. An extension of the unstable equilibrium. President Donald Trump announced a last-minute extension to the ceasefire with Iran, anticipating a fresh proposal from Tehran and further negotiations. While Iran media signaled acceptance, they stated that officials there had not requested the extension. While this extended diplomatic window, both sides are maintaining their blockade of. Okay, I'm sure that says the Strait of Hormuz. Let's see what else we got here. Best Buy taps new CEO amid push to revive lagging sales. Google takes aim at NVIDIA's dominance over AI chips. Pace of technology change since last year's Cloud Next has never been faster. Our first-party models now process 6 billion tokens per minute via direct API use, of 10 billion last quarter. AI and IPO ambitions. All right, let's see if we can get into a couple of these articles. Can I get into this article or no? Let's see if we can get into this article. All right, let's see if we can get this article to cooperate. Can we get this to cooperate? No? Did we? All right, let's see here. Oil climbed back above $100 a barrel and a delicately in limbo after 3 ships were attacked in the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday. An Iranian gunboat fired on one container ship near Oman, damaging its bridge, UK maritime authorities reported. A second ship was attacked west of Iran, though it wasn't immediately clear who was responsible. The hostilities came just hours after the U.S. announced it would prolong its truce with Iran until the conclusion of postponed peace negotiations. Okay, so that's one of the leading headlines on LinkedIn. Let's check some other headlines here. Boeing notches better than expected. I want to talk about this article right here. The new Fed chair, Warsh, calls for a new framework. United Airlines cuts 2026 outlook. They reported. Let's see what Warsh is saying. That's what he says here. Get this article to cooperate. Okay, here we go. New framework for the Federal Reserve. In his confirmation hearing before the Senate Banking Committee on Tuesday, Warsh made the case for new tools and new communications in the Federal Reserve. Warsh, who's posed to be the next chair of the central bank, also called for new inflation framework after declaring the Fed needs to stay in its lane. He told senators he'd be an independent actor if confirmed. We'll see about that. To the role of chair. The Justice Department investigation into current chair Jerome Powell, however, is injecting a note of uncertainty into Walsh's confirmation. All right, so he says he's going to be a independent actor if confirmed. Okay, he was put on by Donald Trump, seemingly, and then he says he's going to be an independent actor. This guy's mentioning interest rates. I believe the Fed will meet. Maybe we looked that up. I thought it was end of April, which is next week. Maybe we looked that up to see when they do meet again. Says he prefers a meeting that's more like a family fight. Okay, this was yesterday. I tend to favor messier meetings than some where people don't show up with rehearsed scripts, but we can have a good family fight. Okay, so he's telling the Senate confirmation hearing. All right, we'll see. I think he takes office in April, May. I think sometime in May. Okay, so some other headlines here from LinkedIn you guys can check out. I always keep an eye out on LinkedIn to see what's trending. All right, so that's LinkedIn. Okay, that's LinkedIn. Let's X that. What else I got? Okay, so before we get into YouTube, a couple of reminders. Let's see what we got. First reminder. All right, those of you that are interested in joining the WIN Group. Okay, the WIN Group is a premium class offered through the Black Business School. It's a great program, in my opinion. Great program, great class. Let me see if I can share. Okay, here we go. I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay, there we go. Let's see what we got. Okay, I actually meet with the WIN Group every second Sunday. I meet with them every second Sunday. I believe the WIN Group meets with Dr. Boyce every Monday. So look, if you have 50,000 liquid, if you're interested in options, the WIN Group is for you. Okay, the WIN Group's not for everyone. Not every offering is for everyone. This offering specifically for those with 50 liquid in assets. Education and trading, advanced stock options. They meet with Doc. They meet with me. Investment group management, networking, some of the more advanced strategies. Coaching from Dr. Boyce on real estate, management, crypto, options as well. Dr. Alicia offers a group session to the group. Accountability as well, weekly meetings, special guest lectures, supportive environment. Weekly profit session, hot seats, Q&A. All right, so you can check out the WIN Group. Again, it's the most premium price class through the Black Business School. But I believe it's worth it. Again, they meet with me directly every 2 weeks. If you want to meet directly, that's also an option. Maybe if you needed some more one-on-one time, consider a consultation with me. Consider a bulk package consultation with me. But here, this is one of the great offerings through the Black Business School, the WIN Wealth Income Network Private Mastermind. All right, so check that out if that's of interest to you. Another quick reminder, you that are looking for networking, those of you that are looking for like minds, consider joining this website right here. And that is B1 Nation. B1 Nation. I've been a part of B1 Nation for a couple of years now. This is the home screen of the B1 Nation. I know it's a social media platform. You guys can keep in touch with each other, post different things, build out your network. I believe there's a feature here to check who's in your area. I remember seeing that somewhere. Gotta find out, but there's a feature where you can find out who's near you. Under the first tab, and you just click this near you tab. You can find who are in your area, connect with them, stay in touch with them, build out your investment group with them, connect with them in any way you see fit. Okay, so B1 Nation, b1nation.us, b1nation.us. Don't just complain about platforms, support your own platform. Okay, don't just complain about Zuckerberg's platforms, support your own platforms. Okay, so b1nation.us. b1nation.us, and I'm there. I'm in there as well. Okay, so check out B1 Nation. All right, let me check the comments. Let's see what we got here. Let's see here. Andrea says she's down with the Android. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Andrea is down with the Android. She says she has a Vertiv and GEV. Vertiv and GEV. All right. Shout out to Darian's mama. Darian's mama reposted this stream on X. Shout out to Darian's mama. We go straight to the cash flow. Okay. If you meet with me regarding options, you know me. I cut out all middlemen. I don't like dealing with middlemen. In my previous life, I dealt with a lot of middlemen. I felt middlemen were controlling my outcomes when only me and God should be controlling my outcomes. No more middlemen. We're going straight to the cash flow from day zero. So shout out to Darian's mama. Darian's mama, if you're interested in going straight to the cash flow, holla at me. Get at me. Here's the best way to get at me. RLCmango.com. Here's the best way to get at me. We're going to cut HR out of the equation. We're going to cut out HR out of the equation. We're going straight to the cash flow. We're going to cut out Mr. Charlie out of the equation. We're going straight to the cash flow. We're going to cut out Santa Claus from the equation. We're going straight to the cash flow. We're going to cut out all the labor. We're going straight to the cash flow. We're going to cut out all the marketing. We're going straight to the cash flow. We're going to cut out all the begging. We're going straight to the cash flow. We're going to cut out all the ass kissing. We're going straight to the cash flow. Okay? So if you want to be more efficient with your business ventures, holler at me, RLCmango.com. I cut out all middlemen. I don't like middlemen controlling my outcomes. Only me and God will control my outcomes. Holler at me, RLCmango.com. All right. What else we got? All right, let's see what else. Okay, let's take a trip to YouTube. Let's see what we got in terms of YouTube Shorts. Here. Okay, I saw a couple interesting shorts I wanted to share. This is Yahoo Finance's page, shorts page. Let's see what we got. Okay, Kevin Warsh again. Okay, a lot of shorts on Kevin Warsh. Saylor bought another 2.5 billion in Bitcoin.
Strategy has acquired 34,164 Bitcoin for 2.5 billion. The story here is not that Michael Saylor has announced a Bitcoin purchase on a Monday. We can literally just call that Monday in the Bitcoin space because he does it every single week. The story is how he's doing it and the machine that he's created to do so. Many are calling it the infinite money glitch, which is not a term that I'm a huge fan of. That sounds like something you would hear at a euphoric peak. STR.
Infinite money glitch. If you hear the words infinite money glitch, chances are that's a scam. There's no such thing as an infinite money glitch.
RC is meant to be pegged at $100. Anytime it's trading above par, they're able to sell securities into the market. They immediately take that money and buy Bitcoin, rinse and repeat that exact same process. What happens after that FOMO cycle? Well, then it starts trading below par, goes back closer to $99, wait for it to float back up to par, unable to buy Bitcoin during that time. And once again, it goes back above.
Every Monday, this company seems to be buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor strategy. Let's see what else we have here. Meta ran ads so well, it's projected to overtake Google's throne.
Senator, we run ads.
So how do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service?
Ads. Senator, we run ads.
So how do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service?
Senator, we run ads.
End of story. End of story. What's this guy says? AI is the most disruptive moment in economic history in the United States and the world. AI is the most disruptive moment in economic history in the US and the world.
Chairman Powell and Secretary Bissett met with leaders of our largest banks recently to talk about advanced AI models like Mythos from Anthropic to identify banking vulnerabilities. It's apparently very good at finding those vulnerabilities. What will you do to modernize the Federal Reserve's internal risk assessments, tabletop or scenario planning exercises to ensure that we can anticipate and defend against the type of emerging risks that potentially models like Mythos could present if used in the wrong hands?
Senator, a lot is the short answer. The pace of change in these technologies is accelerating. AI, which I think of really as American ingenuity, gives America a huge head start relative to our competitors around the world, but it's not without real risks and real challenges. And a forward-looking, reform-oriented central bank needs to be on the front end of it. This is the most disruptive moment in modern economic history in the US and the world. Today, we call it artificial intelligence. 2 years from now, we're going to call it business CapEx. And 3 years from now, we're going to call it just ordinary business.
Wow. All right. So some very strong words here from the new Fed chair. All right. Let's check out CNBC. Let's check out CNBC. CNBC. Let's see what we have here. Anything interesting here? Apple's cracked on vibe coding. Lowe's bets on kids, creators, and Gen Z as Americans delay home buying. Okay, nothing too interesting from my perspective. Yeah, they need a better job on their shorts page. CNBC, come on now. Forbes, let's see. Let's check Forbes. Oops. Forbes breaking news. Let's see if they have anything interesting. All right, let's see here. Trump talks Iran. We have okay. Okay, not too. Let's see what else we have. Check the main Forbes page. See if we have anything worthy here. Okay, let me check Motley Fool. Does Motley Fool have a shorts page? See if they've got anything interesting here. Focusing on long-term investing. Motley Fool CEO. Let's see what he's saying here.
We don't have many guiding tips for anyone who's looking out a single quarter. In fact, I continue to be shocked at how frequently in the financial media people are trotted out on stage to tell us what they think is going to happen in the next month. That's a terrible, terrible way to think about the financial markets, particularly a terrible presentation to make to the general public who really need to learn again and again and be reminded that the way to make money in the equity markets is to have that 5-year, 10-year, 15-year time horizon, to be a lifelong investor, to use equities again as your bank-like holding where you're getting a better interest rate than banks can provide you, albeit with quite a bit more volatility. But as long as you have that time horizon, I think you're going to end up being very thankful that you were allocating your money to the stock market rather than to sports betting, options trading, lottery tickets. You get the picture.
All right. Motley Fool CEO says, all right, let me subscribe to the Motley Fool. Can Gemini beat ChatGPT 2026? See if this.
One of the wildest charts I've seen recently is this one from SimilarWeb showing the generative AI traffic on the web. And you can see that ChatGPT is losing market share. A year ago, 87.2% market share. Today, that market share is down to 68%. What is the big winner over that period of time? Gemini has more than tripled from a little over 5% to 18.2% market share. In 2026, we could see Gemini actually take the lead from ChatGPT. That's because it's free, it's available for everybody, and it's integrated with all of Google's distribution. Remember, Google owns Android. They obviously have Google itself, the website, but you have Gmail, YouTube, Google Drive. All of these products are distribution for Gemini. I think that's going to pull more and more users into Gemini, especially as the product gets better and better. But keep an eye on how these products monetize, because remember, Google doesn't have to make money. It has a cash cow in its traditional business. ChatGPT is getting to the point where they're looking at raising $100 billion. Are they going to have to continue to do that just to stay in the game with Google?
It's a good point. That's a good point there. All right. All right. So you guys can check out some of these shorts on your own. All right. So let's see what else I got for you. I did see, speaking of the AI, I do have an article regarding the Trump administration and Anthropic. You might have heard Anthropic had a release that I think they pulled back. Let's read the article together here. A very strong AI model. Let's see here. All right, here we go. Trump administration, Anthropic may be close to a deal on Pentagon standoff. Let's see here. Yeah, what makes Mythos too dangerous to release?
Just in simple layman's terms, Zach, and why is everyone suddenly talking about it?
Layman's terms, it's a much more capable model that has both coordination and intelligence upgrades in agentic properties that actually allow it to sort of not just go forward and backwards as it executes tasks, but could step side to side. And in doing so, is just much more capable of executing tasks and goals on an individual's behalf across applications, data lakes, and browsers.
You say here, Zach, though, we've seen this before. That's how you put it. Is this really a historic breakthrough, Zach, or are you suggesting, no, there's an element of sort of branding and marketing going on by Anthropic?
Both can be true. So I think we should be really clear. As these models get more capable, we are enabling a lot more to happen, both good and bad. And this presents the promise.
So that makes me think, when is at a certain point the trade-off is not worth it. So that makes me wonder, are we there yet? Are we fastly approaching that day where the trade-offs are not worth it? Or is that day way in the future? There has to come a point where these new AI models, the potential bad outweighs the potential good. Let's check out this article. President Trump signaled that the U.S. government may be preparing a deal to end its ongoing standoff with AI Anthropic. Trump said Anthropic reps met with him in the White House a few days ago and that he believes the government will get along with that just fine. So what does that mean? They broke you off something? Trump said possible a deal will be made because he wants the smartest people, but noted that the government has replaced Anthropic with OpenAI. The blowup between the company and the government came after Anthropic told the Department of Defense that it wouldn't allow the department to use its AI models for mass surveillance of Americans or development of fully autonomous weapons. The government shot back, labeling Anthropic a supply chain threat, which would force government contracts that use the company's software to abandon it for any government work. And while Anthropic won a temporary reprieve from the designation in a federal court in Cali, it's a fight in DC Circuit Court of Appeals over the grounds for the government's efforts. Anthropic works with the department, with the Defense Department, and reports say the Pentagon used the company's technology during its operation with Venezuela in January and in current conflict with Iran. We'll see how this shakes out. All right, so keep an eye on Trump and Anthropic. Okay, so let's see. Let's check some headlines before we got some time to check. Actually, before I forget again, let's go to the charts. A couple of tickers I want to look up right quick before I forget again. This is one of them. You might have seen this ticker on fire recently. You might have seen your net worth increase recently. Here's part of the reason why. Okay, Bitcoin sitting at 987. Up today about 3.5% up today. Okay, today up 3.5% today. 5 days been up a lot. Well, not a lot, about 2.5% the last 5 days. 1 month, okay, 1 month it's up a lot. 1 month is up almost 14%. Okay, up almost 14% in 1 month. Okay, let's check the year to date right quick. Year to date, okay, down about 10% year to date though. Down 10% year to date. Okay, year to date, January, February, March, and now April. About 4 months in. 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4 months in, down about 10%. Down about 10%. All right, so we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin. We'll keep an eye on Bitcoin. Up to date, 3.5%. Okay, up to date, 3.5%. All right, another ticker I want to look up right quick. Another that's been on fire is AMD. AMD has been on fire. Currently at 296. Okay, 296. Up 4% today. 4% today. The last 5 days up. Wow, up almost 12% the last 5 days. Up $31 the last 5 days. Okay, wow, that's a lot. 296, almost 300, almost 300. 1 month. Wow, 1 month. Imagine that. 46%. Imagine your investment is up 46% in the last month, last 6 months. Wow, up 29% in the last 6 months. So AMD has been on fire. Another one that's been on fire is AVGO Broadcom. Let's take a look at their chart. Currently at, wow, 417. 417, up 4% today. Sitting at almost 418. 5 day. Day is much. Got the delay, the crazy delay right now. 5 day. Okay, it's not cooperating with me today. I guess I didn't pay the Wi-Fi bill. Okay, I guess I did the Wi-Fi bill. Okay, here we go. 5 days up 6%. 1 month. Come on, 1 month. Come on. Okay, up 30% 1 month. 30 days, 30%. 30 days, 30%. Broadcom is making you rich. Broadcom is making you rich. Okay, Broadcom, one of the biggest companies in the world. Top 7, top 8 biggest companies in the world, something like that. Maybe 8, I think. Okay, Broadcom get people rich. Okay, Broadcom is making people rich. All right, so a few tickers, maybe to put on your watch list if you don't have those. Broadcom, AMD, Bitcoin. All right. What do you guys think? Do you guys own Broadcom? Do you guys own AMD? Do you guys own BTC? Let's see what Andrea says. Andrea says AI was used to compare writing styles to find who is Satoshi Nakamoto. It narrowed it down to one man with the same tone and texture scripts, and he toggled when writing. Satoshi stopped. Okay. AI was used to compare writing styles to find who he is. Narrowed down to one man, the same tone and texture scripts, and he toggled when writing. All right. She says if Satoshi is discovered, Sailor's fund will fall. All right. Well, I'm wondering why. She owns some Broadcom. Okay, good for her. Good for her. She getting rich. Who's Broadcom CEO? Hawk 10. Hawk 10 is making Andrea rich. Okay. Andrea is sending Hawk 10 to work. All right. So a few tickers to keep on your radar, right there. Let me see what else I got. Let's check some. Maybe we check some headlines. Let's check some headlines. All right, let's share my screen here. Let's check some CNN business headlines here. Let's see what's popping on CNN business. All right. Okay, let's see. 3 takeaways from fiery hearing to confirm Trump's Fed pick. Apple's pick to replace Cook. FanDuel wants to carve a sports niche in the controversial prediction market business. Confused by where WAR stands, get used to it. What else do we have? Oh yeah, I saw this as well. The refund, the tariff refund list. It was it 166 billion? I think was it 166 billion? I forget the exact amount. Florida Attorney General launches criminal investigation into ChatGPT maker OpenAI after deadly FSU shooting. Gas prices won't quickly. Here are way less at the pump right now. Leave the car on the driveway. Leave the car on the driveway. IBM to pay 17 million in anti-DEI settlement. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's check out. Maybe we check out Market Watch. Maybe we check out Motley Fool. Maybe we just check out Google. Maybe we check. Okay, there's a couple things I'm going to look up on Google. One is the next FOMC meeting. Okay, it is next week. It is next week. Okay. The next Federal Open Market Committee meeting is scheduled for 28-29, which is next Tuesday, Wednesday. This two-day meeting will conclude with a policy statement and a press conference regarding interest rates and economic policy. According to JP Morgan Global Research, the Fed is expected to hold rates steady at this meeting. Okay, so next week we'll get the Fed decision on interest rates. All right, let's see here. Okay, so here are the dates: April 28, 29, June, July, September, October, December. The Fed FOMC meets 8 times a year to determine direction of U.S. monetary policy, influence interest rates and economic stability. So that's next week. Okay, that's next week. And then when does Kevin Warsh take office? Pending state confirmation, this guy is set to take over as Fed chair May 26th, ends in May 26th. He had a hearing yesterday. Powell's term as Fed chair ends in May 26th. So I believe at the end of May, it looks like. All right, so at the end of May. All right. Okay, so a couple things else I want to look up while we're on Google. I wanted to just search stock market news. A lot of these things we talked about already today. Dow, S&P, NASDAQ rise, oil climbs as Trump extends U.S.-Iran ceasefire, quote-unquote ceasefire. We'll see what happens. All right. I did see a Amazon article. I have an Amazon article here. Maybe we can look at that article. Let me stop sharing that one. Okay, maybe I can't stop sharing. All right. Let me stop sharing. Let me pull up that one. Maybe I pull up that one. Okay, I got the technical today. There we go. Okay. So I got the slow connection today. I didn't pay the Wi-Fi bill. All right, let me start sharing that. Let's pull up the Amazon article, share screen. Amazon is expected to report strong quarter. Let's see what this says here. Amazon expected to report a strong quarter on the backs of Anthropic's cloud AI demand. I believe they report next week. When Amazon reports earnings on 4/29, it may have some bullish numbers to convey to Wall Street. and AI juggernaut Anthropic may be a large reason why. We believe AWS is benefiting from a combination of capacity gains, AI diffusion, and client expansion. Anthropic has been a long-standing long-standing AWS customer, and its rapid growth in annual recurring revenue provides a meaningful tailwind to Amazon growth, AWS growth. Anthropic has had a huge year on the development front, likely pointing to a need to extract as much AWS cloud computing as possible. This month, the company released Claude Opus 4.7, the most advanced reasoning model to date. It also unveiled the controversial mod Mythos, a hyper-agentic model, so powerful that Anthropic has restricted it from public release due to its national security risks. A 30% revenue growth for AWS for the quarter would likely be a well received by the street, as it would represent an acceleration from 2025. AWS generated a whole lot, representing a 20% increase from the prior year. Amazon currently sitting at 252. Shout out to Andy Jassy. Keep working hard. While AWS sales stand to get Anthropic jolt, Amazon's balance sheet could also show a big boost from the model builder. All right, we'll see what. Okay, finally, we know Amazon CEO Andy Jassy seemed open-minded in the annual shareholder letter to selling Trainium chips to third parties. Chips are already surpassed a whole lot. Amazon stock rallied 16% in the last month. We are seeing no cracks in AI demand on the chips, hardware, or software. All right, we'll see what Amazon says next week when they report. A big week next week in terms of reporting, in terms of earnings. Very big week next week in terms of earnings. Very big week in terms of earnings. All right, before that, if you guys got any comments or questions, drop them in the chat. Yep, Andrew is right here. Prediction markets are highly controversial. Definitely, they're definitely controversial. You saw New York State Attorney Letitia James sued Coinbase and Gemini, stating that it's too easy. It's especially easy for these underage kids to bet on these different outcomes. All right, let's see what else we got for you before we wrap. Let's stop sharing that one. Let's take a look at this heat map right quick. Let's share the S&P heat map. Oops, wrong share, wrong button. Okay, here we go. S&P heat map, here we go. Okay, a whole lot of green. I like green and I like red. I like green and I like red. I like both colors. All right, so that's the heat map for the S&P, where we currently stand. 1%, Amazon, Google, 1.5, over 1.5 for Microsoft, 2.5 for Apple, almost 4 for Broadcom. 7, is that 7 for MU? Over 7 for MU. Okay, over 7 for MU. 7.32. AMD 4.5, about 4.5%. What else? JP Morgan just down slightly. Berkshire just down slightly. Walmart up slightly. Netflix up about 0.5%. What else do we have? Okay, JEV, you can see right there. GE, sorry, I might have said JEV. I'm not good with alphabets. I'm better with the numbers. GEV. I might have said JEV. GEV. Vernova up 12% today. ExxonMobil about flat. What else do we have? Bank of America just down less than 1%. Home Depot down 1.3, so on. Okay, shout out to FinViz. Okay, FinViz's heat map. Okay, that's where we stand as of 1 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. All right, so Today we talked about a lot. We talked about the Trump administration's involvement with Spirit Airlines. We talked about the ceasefire. We talked about earnings. We talked about Bitcoin, what Bitcoin's doing. We talked about what AMD is doing, what Broadcom's doing. We talked about Anthropic. We talked about Amazon. We talked about a whole bunch of topics. Every Wednesday, noon Eastern, we talk about current events in the financial markets. My name's Errol, and I am unqualified laborer. So we'll check in next week, Wednesday. Be sure to join next week, Wednesday at noon Eastern. I'll see you there. Peace.